Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. It is a very full docket today, which I'm excited about. We have sports coming back this week. NBA games are coming back this week. We've had the MLB back. It's very exciting. But before we get into the news, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share this video with your friends. Now, here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris.
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
What's up, everybody? It's Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JAYLEN'S the Fanatic.
Hey guys, it's Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at IRRESPONSIBLE.
All right, well, let's just jump off with this news about Kyrie. So he is committing $1.5 million of supplemental income to supplement the income of players who choose not to play this season, whether it's because of coronavirus concerns or social justice reasons. I think this is an amazing gesture, and I applaud Kyrie for, giving that money and wanting to show support and to help out. But it also makes me wonder, why is he the one doing that? Why isn't the WNBA stepping up to do that kind of thing? Why does it have to always be another player, another athlete? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Britt. What do you think about Kyrie's contributions to WNBA players?
I think it's great. The WNBA is doing that. They're just making it very difficult for people to qualify for that. So the WNBA does have that, if you qualify, whatever their medical thing, to pay their entire season for them. But most leagues aren't doing that. Like the NBA isn't doing that either. So I think the WNBA is doing a step more than a lot of other leagues are. The NFL is not going to do something like that. So I think that's great that he can help. I said before, the WNBA salaries are very small compared to other league salaries. So I encouraged NBA players to say they're going to help out their sisters in the WNBA, and this is what he did. So I'm glad he did it. I told them they should do that a while ago, and I'm glad he's one of the guys that stepped up and did it.
Yeah, it's really awesome for him to do that. Jackie, I'd like to hear your reaction to this news.
I'm not surprised that he did it, to be honest. We see that he's kind of on that mindset right now of giving back and whatnot. I think it's a beautiful gesture. I'm with Britt. I didn't think, when you consider the salaries that these ladies make, and when you compare that to what, these big name athletes, especially like him, then yeah, it's not, it's not a ton of money, and it'll help a lot of ladies. So I think it's a beautiful gesture. I'm definitely not surprised that he did it, but it's definitely a beautiful gesture.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move on. Let's talk baseball for a second. So the Yankees versus Phillies game is canceled. MLB is holding a league meeting after 14 players on the Miami Marlins tested positive for coronavirus. Apparently, they knew they had positive cases, and they still went off to play the Phillies now the other day, so it's kind of jeopardizing the whole sport. The league is, trying to figure out what they're going to do. So, Chris, we're only a week into baseball season. Was it irresponsible for them to start off the season as they did? And what do you think this means moving forward?
Oh, man. I didn't know that last part until yesterday, finding out that there were players that they decided to go forward even though they had those tests. So that, to me, changed it. My thought on it a little bit, because at first I thought, why not? I feel like this is probably one of the sports. Yes, there is contact, but I feel like maybe they can get away with it, and maybe we'll see how that goes. But yeah, hearing that and knowing that they went through with that makes things a little bit more complicated, and I think it makes sense that it was the game in it was in Miami, right? Or which game? It's
no, it's in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, excuse me. Yeah, Jesus Christ. I saw the Marlins earlier. Sorry, I'm getting everything all mixed up. Either way, the fact that it's getting postponed makes sense, and I feel like that is the right thing. But of course, my brain just instantly then went to the NFL, because it's like, if they're having a hard time with this and they're having a hard time with the decisions that they're making, how are we going to get through an NFL season? And we talked about that. Even the MLB was trying to come with doing their own type of bubble idea, and maybe they could probably get away with it more so than the NFL, as we talked about before. I just don't know. It's going to be hard for them to get past or move past this without having a lot of questions to answer, because if they still went forward and tried to play with all those positive tests, I don't know what's going to stop them from having any more positive tests in the future if they continue to play. So I don't know.
Yeah. Britt, do you feel like this incident is going to encourage or motivate players to opt out of the season moving forward?
No, there was 3 players that tested positive on the Miami Marlins the first 2 days, and those were the tests that they went forward on Sunday, knowing that they had those 3 players test positive. The players were removed, quarantined, whatever, and messages were sent to both the Phillies players and the Marlins players, and they were all aware of the fact that the tests were that 3 players tested positive, and they decided to play. That's why on Sunday we saw Bryce Harper for the first time during this moment wearing a mask. He hadn't worn a mask up until Sunday's game. He decided to wear a mask on Sunday. They decided to do, a lot of the guys were doing the elbows instead of like high fives, or they were doing this little foot click whenever they did something good or something like that. So all the players knew about the 3 tests. The league knew about the test, and everybody decided to move forward. So that's a decision they all made together. Obviously, because of that situation, now 14 players tested positive, and that's the problem here. But I don't think players are going to decide to opt out more now than they did before, because they all were aware of the situation going into this game.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this affects future games. It's a crazy story, but I guess it's not entirely unexpected. Now let's talk about Lou Williams. So last week we discussed this on our show, how he left the bubble on an excused absence and then was later seen in a photo with Jack Harlow. He posted an Instagram story featuring Lou Williams, and then he quickly deleted it, and he said, "Oh, it's an old picture. I posted it just because I miss my friend." But Ramona Shelburne tweeted that the NBA is investigating what Lou did while on his absence from the bubble. They were attempting to assess how long he needed to be quarantined when he returned. He apparently, so there's the photo right there that was posted on Jack's Instagram. So yeah, and then okay, sorry, these pictures are getting ahead of my story. So Lou actually did admit to partying at Magic City, a strip club, for a short time on Thursday night. He came clean about it to NBA security during their interview with him. But he also did tweet a photo on Friday, like the one that you just saw, Leo, if you don't mind throwing that one back up there. It's a photo of a man named Paul G. Williams, and he had captioned it, "Long live Pops." He said, "Glad I had an opportunity to say goodbye." He told investigators that he attended a viewing for Paul, and then he went to the strip club to pick up dinner. Apparently, a lot of people were questioning why he was picking up dinner at a strip club, so he decided to tweet out. He said, "Ask any of my teammates what's my favorite restaurant in Atlanta. Ain't nobody partying. Chill out. Hashtag mask on. Hashtag in and out." And people rushed to his defense, tweeting things like, "If you were a fan of Lou, you would know that he eats at Magic City ritually. He orders it as catering to be delivered to his home on the regular." Lou then tweeted back saying, "Leave it alone, just enjoy the memes, LOL." Now reports claim that he is going to be quarantined for 10 days, which means he's going to be missing the first 2 games back at least. So Britt, are you buying this whole story about getting dinner at Magic City and not partying?
This is my Britt's take, so I'm just not going to say anything right now. I'll let Jackie and Chris talk about it, and then I'll get into it during Britt's take.
All right, you guys, so stay tuned for Britt to hear what she thinks about Lou Williams. So, okay, Jackie, then I'm going to ask you that same question. Are you buying this story that he really only went to the strip club to get dinner? Or do you think he was there partying?
I'm going to buy his story. And the reason I'm going to buy his story is because there is a strip club in Denver, which I'm not going to plug, but there's a strip club in Denver that is my first stop every time I land in Denver, because they have the best wings on the planet. So, and if I'm going into a strip club to get wings, I can totally buy that Lou Williams is going into a strip club to get food. So I'll buy it. You know, it's a win-win for you too. If you're going in there to grab some food, get some entertainment as well, and then head on out. I'm not mad at him at this situation. On top of that, I've actually attended, unfortunately, a few funerals, and you do need a debrief. You know, you need something to kind of take that weight off of you. And I have gone out to just regular clubs, jazz clubs after funerals, because it's a very heavy burden to have. So if this is his favorite place to go eat and they have entertainment too, I don't have a problem with it. I get why the NBA would investigate. I understand the time we live in, but aside from that, nah. I just wish he would have stayed out a little longer, but you know, that's a whole nother story for another day.
Wait,
I wanted him to stay about like, I wanted him to stay out for like a week, take a whole week off, and then come in quarantine another 10 days. Yeah, well, whatever.
I would have that too, Jackie. I would have been okay with that. No issues there.
Yeah, take your time.
So how do you think, I'm asking this to you, Jackie, as well. How do you think Lou missing at least the first 2 games is going to impact the team?
I mean, Lou comes off, he's the 6th man for a reason. I don't think it's going to impact the team negatively. I think if anything, they're going to support him and maybe, throw some jabs at him that are funny and witty. And it's all about the chemistry right now. Anyway, Lou's very good at what he does. It would have been a valuable time, but I don't think it's going to impact him negatively at all. I think he'll get right back into the swing of things very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Chris, do you think that the fact that Lou grabbed dinner at a strip club made this a bigger deal? If he had stopped at just a regular restaurant and took photos there, do you think people would be as shocked or as, would this have been such a polarizing story?
Oh, man, I so badly want to just like go straight Stephen A. Smith on this and just like go against it, but because of where it is and because I have homies that live in Atlanta and because I know and I've heard, I've never been, so I don't want to hear, oh, CK got residency in there, you see. No, I'm just saying because I heard and I have homies that have been, and this is the same story I've heard from them. The food is 70% of the reason why they go there most of the nights when there's not any good girls and stuff like that. So because of that and because of how well known it is for the food as well, I don't think it is as extra as, compared to like when we talked about James Harden and him getting his jersey hung up at a strip joint in Houston. I feel like because Magic City is known to have bomb wings as well as the bomb females there too. I don't think it makes it as, extraordinary for. I just think the fact that people were just so taken back that he was leaving the bubble and then to find out that he went to a strip club or a club in general is what threw people off. But I mean, the food story, like Jackie said, unfortunately, I'm with them. I hear it, I get it, and I have nothing against that. Even though we joked about it, but at the same time, like that fan said, Lou Williams has not been very. He's not hidden the fact that he loves the food from Magic City at all in his career, especially when he was playing over there. So, no, I don't think it's too crazy at all. Being the club that
it's just the tweets came out wrong. Like, if we would have seen the rest in peace Pops Instagram post first, and then they just came out in the wrong order is what I think it is. I think we wouldn't have been so like, oh my God, if they would have come out in the right order.
Yeah.
I think that if he had been photographed at like a Denny's, people would not be as shocked about it. I think the fact that it was a strip club made people feel like, oh my gosh, because there's more opportunities for contact. I don't know.
People are so soft these days. I think it was still been going. It would have had something to say regardless. It had been Popeyes, Denny's, anywhere. People would still have something to say. Oh, this is why he left the bubble. Oh my gosh, the food is so bad in the bubble. Oh no, they would have still had something to say. I think it would have been the same.
You're right. Okay, let's talk about Le'Veon Bell and Jamal Adams. So they have some beef apparently after Jamal was traded to the Seahawks. Le'Veon posted a tweet that implied Jamal begged the Jets to sign him, and now he's forcing a trade off the team. He tweeted, "People do all the hooting and hollering to get you brought in just to leave. People are weird. The internet got these dudes doing whatever for attention, even when they do shit they don't believe themselves." Jamal tweeted back, writing, "Noted. See you week 14. Then Le'Veon responded back saying, quote, "Noted what? That you lied? Please trust that it is noted then. And if I'm supposed to take see you in week 14 as a threat, I don't. But it's still all love. And like I told you on the phone, I want the best for you. If this is the best for you, I want it for you, bro." So the two teams are currently set to face off in December, on December 13th. If the NFL season, progresses as it's planning on progressing. So Jackie, going to you on this one, do you think that Le'Veon has a reason to be upset with Jamal, or is he just being sensitive?
Le'Veon Bell has a reason. No, hell no, I don't think Le'Veon Bell has a reason to be upset with Jamal. That's kind of hypocritical in my opinion. On top of that, I said Jamal should do everything he could to get out of there. So, I mean, I don't really understand why Le'Veon would even say this, considering what we know. You know, Le'Veon's made some decisions to get out of situations. So what are we talking about now? I don't know. I don't have a real opinion on this because clearly they talked on the phone. So that's probably the biggest problem that I have. Y'all had a conversation on the phone. So why did Le'Veon even take to Twitter after they hung up the phone? Like, you could have said what you had to say over the phone. Now you're just taking the petty punk role and putting it public when y'all was on the phone. So I don't really understand why this had to even come up. So I'm not Team Le'Veon on this one at all. Not even a little bit.
Okay, well, Chris, whose side are you on then?
Yeah, look, it's just really contradictory. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with Adams on this one. I get where Bell is trying to come from, but at the same time, I'm not with him in that sense. I think the conversations that they're having behind the scenes, blah 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 blah. It just sounds like Bell's just mad because he knows his team is just going to be a little bit more worse now that they're missing one of their best defensive players. So he's just upset about it and attacking Adams in that same sense.
Mm-hmm. Britt, does Le'Veon putting Jamal on blast make you question the validity of Jamal's complaints about the Jets' management?
No, I think it makes it more real. I think Le'Veon Bell is just mad because he can't go with them. You know, like he's going from one organization that's known for a lot of bad things and a bad coach to going to go play with Pete Carroll and be in this organization that's kind of been, according to how NFL teams run, they're kind of ahead of the game, and he's going to be in a way better situation in Seattle. So I think he's just low-key like hurt and like, dang, like, why didn't you take me with you? You were the one of the guys that wanted me to come to the Jets and play with the Jets, and now I'm not going to be on the team, or now I'm still stuck here and you're leaving me. So I think he's just sad that he can't go with them, honestly.
He could have said that though. He could have said, because that's what I kind of got from the tweet too. Like, damn, you got me over here, and now you just gonna leave me here. Yeah. You know, it's like going to somebody's party, and then the party's whack, and then they leave, and you ain't got a ride home. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, but say that. Say, hey, you know, I was really looking forward to playing with you. Wish you all the best. You ain't got to make it seem like he sabotaged your whole existence. It's petty.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of petty, let's talk about LeBron really quickly, and then we'll go right into post-up. Apparently, LeBron is a huge shit talker during NBA games. He's been putting it on display during the scrimmages. In an article on The Athletic, it said, during the first quarter, with the ball out of bounds, LeBron, who was on the court, noticed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope walking along the sidelines from the locker room back to the bench. And he said, "What's wrong with your shitty ass?" And then LeBron called him something else that he simply will not print. He also went right at Magic guard Michael Carter-Williams and said, "He's all drive, no shoot." So he's an extremely vocal player. I love that he's such a trash talker. That's really fun. I have no questions about this, but Jackie, I am going to hand it over to you in case you have anything that you want to add about this. Any thoughts you want to share?
No, I love every piece of this. There's nothing LeBron can do that would make me. I think that he's been talking stuff, so I think it's funny that people are mentioning it now. Like, that just shows how little we have to talk about. But this ain't new news, but I appreciate that it's news because it gives me a chance to talk about LeBron. So, yay.
It's more noticeable. It's just more noticeable now, I think. So that's why we're discussing it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Chris, take us into the post-up.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for post-up with your boy Chris, quarantine edition. And yeah, not so fuzzy today. So hopefully, we stay that way through post-up. You know, the fuzz was following me around last week. Hopefully, it stays away this week. But it is good right now. We're gonna jump into the post-up today. And it's funny that we just finished talking about LeBron James and his trash talking. And that's the thing. Like Jackie said, that's not new. We've had so many stories of players coming around. I can't remember who it was on the Cavaliers that was so upset with LeBron because LeBron was in his second year and LeBron made a nice pass to him, and instead of shooting the ball, he passed the ball away, and LeBron got mad at him. Again, this is second year LeBron James telling him, "When I pass you the ball, then you gonna shoot that." And then it's like, and ever since then, LeBron, you've heard all kinds of stories from LeBron. So I think it's great that people talk about it. Anyways, talking about LeBron James. So we're talking, and I just tried to do a LeBron James impression. Wasn't great, but I know somebody who does a great LeBron James impression. The only thing I can do that's LeBron is like I can do the underbite that LeBron James got, the huge like strong jaw. That's all LeBron got.
Hey.
Bronny. not Bronny, excuse me, Bryce. Bryce Maximus is out here doing a great impression of his daddy, and it's so funny. It's the thing I love. What I love about this impression is more than just the voice. It's the whole demeanor and the attitude. He has his dad down. And that's why you see Bronny like cracking up. So, shout out to Savannah in the back for not like getting the camera off of him throughout the entire thing, because I'd be laughing so hard that I probably wouldn't even be able to record Bryce. But here's Bryce's impression of his daddy, LeBron James.
The one and only, the king from Cleveland. How tall you is? You say how tall you is? How tall you? And I ain't playing around. I told you. You said 6'2". 6'2", man. You 15 years old, 6'2". Hey, about 6'11" when you came out the womb, my boy. Yes, sir.
The zoom. Yes, keep it damn real. Yes, this is my favorite part of the whole video. This is so good.
Really?
Just zooming on him, and he stuck it. Oh man, Bryce. Right? Yeah. Oh god, this is great. I'm so glad that Savannah caught this, because this is hilarious. You saw Bronny could not contain himself, but Bryce killed that impression 100%. 10 out of 10. I love that. That was great. Moving on, we were just talking about Prez, aka Jamal Adams, and yes, Jamal Adams is very, very excited to be out of the Jets. Craziness, especially with everything we've been hearing just these past few weeks, and everything we know about the Jets for not even just past few weeks, for the longest time that the Jets have been a team in the NFL. I know I'm treading some very thin waters because of my basketball team, so I'm not going to say anything too crazy before y'all come at me in the comments. But anyways, yeah, so Prez is out. He's leaving. He got traded. He got his wish. He is going from a very bad team to definitely more now than even before when they were. Definitely now a Super Bowl contending team, going with Russ and the Seattle Seahawks. And he is very, very excited. So excited that he was blasting some copywritten music that we can't play right now. Is Jay-Z, and he had that thing loud. He's yelling at us in the camera. It was so funny. And people, you had other football players in there. I think, oh my goodness. There it is, right. Danny Amendola was in the chat. He was laughing at Prez going off. The dances is what killed me, because he was dancing the entire time. But pretty much he was just saying, like, no disrespect to New York and the Jets fans and whatnot, but you got to understand, I'm so excited. I'm going to Seattle. So he was happy about that. And he was out there smoking this big old cigar. Got Jay-Z blaring in the background, playing dominoes with the boys. This is how you celebrate being traded. But here's my question. You know, I got asked because social media, especially in this quarantine time, there's a lot of sensitivity going on with people and having their opinions and whatnot. So, Britt, I got to ask you, do you have a problem with Jamal Adams celebrating and turning up the way he did? Or are you think he should be living it up and let him live his best life with this celebration?
So this could end up biting him in the butt in the long run, because say something happens during the season and he was like, oh, how come in there, and then there's some bad situation. Same thing with Antonio Brown. I don't know if you all remember his issue wanting to leave the Steelers, and then he goes to the Raiders, bad happens there. Goes to the Patriots, bad happens there. And he's like, dang, I mean, I guess the Steelers weren't so bad. I kind of miss y'all. So hopefully that's the situation. But I'm more of like a person, like, let's just sit back and smile and let's see how this goes. And then maybe after the season's over, I can celebrate at that moment. But hopefully he doesn't have to deal with that. But we've seen it more times than not where players think that the grass is greener on the other side, and then they get into a situation and it's not what they thought it was. We'll see.
I think that's fair. I can take. But when I was seeing people that are just saying, oh, I cannot believe it, I guess mainly because there's a lot of Jets fans. I can't believe him. Oh, good riddance, blah, 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 blah. But I think Britt got that was a very good response to that. Because that's true. Because especially, and you just used the best example in Antonio Brown, to the point where he was so happy he was out. And then not too long, he's having a celebration when he got cut by the same team to move on to the Patriots. So, yeah, you're very right on that.
Everybody that's mad at him, Le'Veon Bell. He's probably upset that he didn't stay with the Steelers either. So now he's in a worse situation with the Jets. So
punch in there. I'm sorry, Le'Veon Bell. You still got your money, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, no, that's a very good take there from Britt. Even though it's not even Britt's takes. I got a Britt's take before Britt's take. Play the air horn. Anyways, moving on to the next one. From Prez to Keenan Allen, who, oh boy, Devin, cover your ears. Look, I like Keenan Allen. I'm a fan of Keenan Allen. I do feel like he is underrated, you know, and it comes with the fact that he does play with the Chargers that people don't give enough credit to. They are a good team, but they're not the Rams, so they don't get talked about enough. And Keenan Allen, I do believe, is a good wide receiver in this league. But for him to come out the way he came out, it was a little. I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you got out there. I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm glad that he is talking his talk, but I mean, let's talk about the tweet first. So Keenan, now we know over the weekend, the NFL, especially before the season comes up, before preseason, before workouts, every year the NFL does their top 100. It is, you know, damn near annual tradition at this point where we see the top 100, and it's according to, you know, writers and people with it, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. It's their opinion, and more times than not, we have players that complain about it every single year. Well, this year Keenan Allen was one. There's many others that had a lot to say, but Keenan Allen was the one that was very vocal about his placement on the list, to the point where he tweeted out, calling out some of the other names that were ahead of him, and the name choices were very curious. But he tweeted out, "Okay, I'm tired. I'm tired of what he said. Tired of biting my tongue. There it is. I'm tired of biting my tongue." At Cheetah, at Mike Evans, and at Chris Godwin, even though he put Goodwin, and the list goes on in parentheses, are not a better receiver than me, faster than me every day of the week, but separation, child, please. Okay, so he gave some, you know, respect to them, but the fact that you can't even spell Chris Godwin's name right is not a great start. And he's going after it. For those who don't know, Cheetah is Tyreek Hill. Mike Evans is obviously Mike Evans of the Buccaneers. But so he's upset that they were listed ahead of him. It's just... Again, I got respect for Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen, but I don't think that you can really say that you're ahead of these three receivers. But anyways, if you know Mike Evans is not one to stay quiet when somebody calls him out. Mike Evans is a vocal dude, especially when his name is in somebody else's mouth. So Mike Evans came back at Keenan Allen and responded to this initial tweet, kind of putting him in this place a little bit. He tweeted, "You tagged the wrong Chris Godwin, LOL." Being that that's his teammate, and don't be mad at us. We ain't make the rankings or care about him. I like the confidence, but be realistic. You not on my level, bro. But the thing is, it's not. That's why I do like tiny little gunshot sounds, because it's not really shots, because it's kind of facts. If you go, you know, like we talk about all the time with football, you just go to the statistics. You can see that, you know, as good as Keenan Allen has been on those teams for the Chargers, the numbers, even on bad Buccaneers teams, and you can make the argument that there wasn't other players on that team, but two of the best receivers that are on this list are on that same bad Buccaneers team, so you can't really make the argument, and both of them are able to get more yardage than Keenan Allen. But that's neither here nor there. I need to know how you guys feel about this back and forth. Jack, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that Keenan Allen has a argument when he's coming after these wide receivers, or do you believe it more so on Mike Evans' side? Like, yeah, I understand that you're upset, but be careful who you got in your mouth. Like, what side are you on in this argument?
I mean, I think Keenan is definitely higher on the list than he was placed for sure, just statistically. Yeah. But I mean, you know how I feel about lists. I think lists are just ridiculous, and I think once you kind of put yourself out there, like you mad about the list, and you start tagging people, telling them that you mad, like I agree, like they didn't make the list. Like, who are you mad at? You need to figure out who made the list and tag them. He just looks silly to me right now. And then, you know, I get what he's saying, like his numbers are better, but tweet that, say, hey, you know what? Check the stats. My numbers speak for themselves, and leave it at that. Why are you tagging people? I don't know. He just looked like he's trying too hard.
Yeah, and that, I don't know. I don't know. I have always had a problem with people getting upset with these lists. I love the ones that use this, and then they'll say it like almost in the Cam Newton sense, like they'll see it and be like, oh, so y'all think I'm only 99 out of 100. Okay, and then they come back and say something, but to come after him, I don't know. And then he did one up that by saying that he is the best receiver in the AFC East, AFC West, excuse me. That conversation, I
can have that conversation. I can have that conversation.
Tyreek Hill is on that list,
but that's also a much smaller bubble. That's a very small. You know what I mean? If you're just going to say the East. Right. But right. I mean, again, it just, he seems a little petty. And I'm usually team petty, but not today.
And that is why I need to come to your partner in crime, also Team Petty, Ms. Britt Johnson. I'm coming back to you real quick. I just want to know how you feeling about Keenan not only just talking the talk, but also adding the people that he has some beef with, even though they didn't make the list. How you feel about Keenan Allen calling people out? Do you think he is justified with his stats and with what he's done to call those people out?
I don't agree in calling people out that basically play the same position as you, because they're never going to get to battle each other on a football field. You call out people that you want to go up against. So you call out the corners and stuff and say, hey, I'm about to go up against that guy because I think you're a whack corner and I'm a better receiver and I'm a good receiver. So you ain't going to be able to stick with me. That's the people you call out. But when it comes to a list and it's other players that are listed better than you, you're calling out the wrong people. Like Jackie said, you call out who made the list. You don't need to call them out because they're in a higher position than you. Like, that's silly. But to the point, I don't think any of those receivers, or I think he's better than any of those receivers, personally.
You don't, or you do?
But he is good. He is good. And I don't even want to say the Charger. I mean, the Chargers were in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago. So, like, they're not a bad team or whatever. And he has had a quarterback that's literally been a consistent quarterback throughout his career and been there for, so he didn't have to go with a new quarterback, or Mike Evans playing with Jameis Winston last year. You know, like, I think he's had a good quarterback, and I think this is very accurate where they are. Like, you were not able to do what other people were doing, and you technically did have a better team.
A better situation. Yeah, I think that's right on that one too. I agree. I'm not for. Look, normally I am for when you got something to say, you call out the person. Normally I am, but in this one, it just makes no sense because you're acting as if they're the ones that wrote the list, and they did not. So basically, we need to get Keenan Allen, Lil Timmy's Twitter account, so he can go and tweet at Lil Timmy because he's the real perpetrator in this situation. So yeah, I'm with you guys on that one. All right, so now we're going back to basketball, and this one is something I actually was able to see because I was watching the opener for the WNBA, where we saw the Liberty play against the Seattle Storm, and we've been talking about it, whether the league should be getting rid of the national anthem, or whether they should keep it in and allow players to do what they please during the national anthem, whether it is sit, kneel, whatever it may be. Well, during the debut game of, like I said, New York Liberty and the Seattle Storm, both teams decided that once the national anthem played, that they would walk off during the anthem. If we can get that video up, and they did so, and nobody was upset with it. They had said that this was going to be something they were going to do. They did it. They kept the word. They did it, and I had no problem with it. I really, everyone, like I said, if you're going to play the song, allow the players, allow the people to protest it in the way that they want to protest. And it turned out that both full teams decided to walk off and go back in the locker room while the song was played. And I had no problem with that. I really didn't. And it also turned out to be a good game too, regardless, after the fact. But yeah, WNBA doing a good job pioneering that with their very first game of the league. We'll see what happens with the NBA. I go to you, Devin, when you see this, and we've been talking about this conversation for weeks on end with every sport, from NFL to basketball to now even baseball. When you see them, you see the WNBA, you see these two teams doing this. How do you feel about this decision? You feel like that was the right decision? You're cool with it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely cool with it. I think it was a good move. I like that they did it all together. It was like a very unifying experience. They all showed solidarity with one another. I think this is great. I think that it's an awesome way to show, how they feel about things, their stance on things, and I think more teams need to be taking notes from them.
Yep. Again, I agree. I had no problem with it. Again, I watched that game. I watched that one. I watched the Sparks Mercury game too. Me and Nana were watching that one. We had a good time with that. She is really not Nana, my little one. She's really loving seeing girls playing basketball. She got her first hoop for her birthday the other day, so she was enjoying that, and I was enjoying watching with her. And it's just cool to see that she's understanding basketball and watch those games. It was really dope. So yeah, shout out to WNBA. I'm going to be trying to pay attention to that throughout their bubble, especially with the situations that they're dealing with outside of basketball in their bubble, so supporting them. That being said, moving on to somebody else in the NBA bubble, somebody we talk about I feel like a lot in the post up, Josh Hart, and this time he is not missing out on any high fives this time, so don't worry guys, don't feel bad for Josh Hart. He's not missing high fives, but what he is missing out on is some wings. Now we talked about earlier with Lou Williams and him going to Magic City not for the entertainment, but for the food. And you know, we talked about how people had their opinions on that. Well, Josh Hart, this is so funny to me. Josh Hart, I don't know if he knew this review or if this was a tweet or this is somebody that texted them their thoughts on it. I don't know where it came from, but the amount of elaboration on how magical the chicken wings are at Magic City blew my mind, and it made me laugh so hard at the same time that it led to Josh Hart agreeing almost with Lou Williams, saying that, you know what, if that food is that great, I'm gonna be leaving the bubble too, to be honest with you. You see the tweet there, but I need to read you guys. I'm not gonna read the entire thing. I took 2 lines from this review of Magic City, and I need to read it to you guys because this dude was in another world when he was typing this thing out. So it starts off with saying sorry. It starts off with saying, the reason why I came here, the wings, period. Those mother clucking wings delivered to you by gods on the other side of a tiny little window. He then went on to say, I entered Nirvana when I hit into the first wing. I could hear the deafening crisp crunch over the loud music and conversation. It just became me and the chicken wing, and no one else was around. The perfect amount of sauce, so you weren't begging for napkins. And then he went on and talking about that it was salted just right and just going. I didn't want to read the entire thing, but yo, this description of these wings had me laughing so hard. But at the same time, I think I'm with Josh Hart on this because he posted that little snippet of it saying, yo, if the wings are like that at Magic City, or if the wings at Magic City hit like this, I'm leaving this bubble. And then I had other people being like, yo, he said he leaving, he said he going, da 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 da. But anyways, I think that's funny. But I guess he's on Lou Williams' side, and you know what, I'm slowly going to the Lou Williams side with this as well. But even though Josh Hart was not one to miss out on a high five this time, we do have another player that did miss out on a high five, and it is my new favorite player, Matisse. Now he got hit by in my opinion, the best beard in the game, Kyle O'Quinn, who rejected Matisse on this high five. You hate to see it. You hate to look at that. And you can see that they saw each other. And Kyle said, nah. I don't know if you want to put this on Matisse for the timing. I don't know if you want to put this on Kyle Quinn. Or maybe, like Britt said last week, Kyle Quinn is probably the smarter one in the situation, knowing what the rules are, and said, nah, you ain't going to get me, player. We ain't doing this high five and stuff in the bubble. So it might be any of those things, but you just hate to see it's not even the missed high five, it's the fact when you got to high five yourself. It's just always a sad sight. So Matisse, I got you, bro. If the times were different, I would give you a high five, but I might be on Kyle Quinn's side with this one. Moving on to a very adorable daddy son moment with Jason Tatum and his son Deuce. Obviously, Jason Tatum has talked about how important it is to him being a father to his son, so much to the point where he got copies of all of his books, all of Deuce's books, so he's still able to read to him every night before he goes to bed. And he posted these pictures on his Snapchat, which I thought was really dope. So he's reading back to him. You can see Deuce in the top left, and they're reading the stories, and so they're both on the same page. I thought this was really cool. So shout out to Jason Tatum right there, making the best of the situation and still being able to be dad while you're in the bubble. I call this one Bubble. I don't know. I got nothing. I got no name. Normally I have a nickname I got no nickname for this one, but that's dope. Shout out to Jason Tatum on that. And speaking of the Celtics, though, we're going to move to another Celtics player in Jaylen Brown, who I don't know. This, to me, the cutoff for this was a little too suspicious for me. I mean, normally we see television and TV cut off people in the middle of their sentences if they're moving on to a segment and whatnot, but it just seemed like the timing for when they cut off Jaylen Brown to go back to their pregame show on NBC Sports in Boston was very convenient. You guys will understand what I'm saying after this clip. So if we can get that clip up, please.
Hey Jaylen, how's it going?
How's it going? How are you?
Good, I'm good. Thanks for asking. So, I wanted to take you back to the protests in Atlanta that you drove to. When you tweeted that out and you were able to, mobilize.
All right, back here with Scout. Jaylen Brown, solid game in the first half.
I don't know. How I feel about that one. There was some people. I feel like this battle was kind of even on Twitter, which is ridiculous to me. me. There's some people saying that, oh, that's common television. That happens all the time. And then there's other people saying, look at Boston trying to silence them. I don't know. To me, it's very suspicious, especially when you're getting, all the, nice to talk to you. Oh, thank you. Well, here's my question. And you don't even get his response on that. I know he did talk about some other things previous to it. But still at the same time, knowing the how important it is for, these players, especially Jaylen Brown, who was, definitely very vocal in the front lines with everything, for him to have the opportunity to say something, especially when it's on TV for other Boston Celtics fans to see, or basketball fans generally to see, and for them to cut it off. I'm sure when Jaylen Brown saw that, he was probably thinking the same thing. That was very suspicious. But I don't know if I have a question for this, but I mean, I can go to you, Jackie. I'm curious because you reacted. Do you think that this was definitely something that they knew they were doing when they cut him off, or do you think it was cut for time to go back to the show?
To me personally, I think it was definitely cut off because it maybe they were tired of that song and dance. Like you said, he was on the front line, so you probably know where he's going with this, because that to me was very blatant for a number of reasons. Number one, the commentators were already kind of looking, they were ready to, usually if it's an accident, it's one of those things where people are like, oh, okay, well, like he got cut, like when your intro and it's like Chris, it's usually like that. But they were totally ready for it. Somebody was in their ear and said, we're coming back to you right now. And they were ready for that. And so if anything else, they could have said, hey, we're going to get back to, that interview. We're short on time. We're going to cut to commercial right now and then come back to it. But I looked at that too, and that didn't happen. So to me, this seems very much like a cutoff situation, and it definitely seemed blatant.
Yeah, I can't see anything around it. Even trying to give the benefit of the doubt because of TV and blah, blah, blah. But nah, to me, like you said, and you hit the nail on the head, the fact that they were both ready for it. They were both ready to be cut right for the camera to cut right back to them. I don't know. Not a good look at all. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But last but not least, we're gonna cut to somebody else who did get some ridicule for the previous mask or face covering that he had. James Hart, and he finally has a new one. I don't know how I feel about this one because
awful.
It looks rough. It looks like he got all his beard hairs in his mouth. So I didn't hear the interview, so I don't know if you're talking like because he got hair in his mouth, but it don't look comfortable. It don't look great. But at the same time, to be honest, anything's better than when he had before. But man, yeah, it just looks like there's a lot going on underneath that mask. So James Harden, maybe the search should still continue, find another mask. But hey, this is better than the one that you had.
He looks previously. Like Peter Griffin. Do you remember that episode where Peter grew his beard so the birds can live inside? That's what this looks like. Like, get a different mask. This is terrible.
I feel like in this case, like because your mask is so big, you're better off just getting a mask. Like I get it. Right. Like I understand you want to cover the entire thing because you do look stupid with the mask and then your beard sticking out on the side. Like I get it, but at the same time, this looks dumber. Well, that too, but this one just looks dumber. But hey, I mean, maybe the search continues, and maybe this is not the end of that. But look at him.
No, that looks awful. Like a tumor.
It's a tumor on his face. Anyways, before I cut off with post up, I do want to talk to you guys about this amazing initiative, the AJI initiative that we have been pushing so heavy for the last few weeks. As you guys see, we are so close, guys. We are so close to our I think we're probably a little bit over 1,000 away from our goal, which is amazing. You guys have been so great with that. But for those who may not know, the Equal Justice Initiative is an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial. Now, we've been sharing a lot of stories of different cases that just show just how unfair justice system can actually be. And today I want to talk to you guys about Johnny Briscoe. Now, in the early morning hours of October 21st, back in 1982, a man broke into a woman's apartment in a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri. The victim said that the man threatened her with a knife, stole her jewelry, and then brutally raped her. After the rape, the man stayed with the victim for an hour, smoking a cigarette, while the victim smoked 2 cigarettes. The two were together in a brightly lit room, and the man told the victim that his name was John Briscoe. The victim would later identify Briscoe in a photo lineup as well as a live lineup. Briscoe was the only man in the live lineup wearing an orange jumpsuit. At Briscoe's 1983 trial for forcible rape, sodomy, burglary, robbery, stealing, and armed criminal action, the victim identified Briscoe as the man who had attacked her. Briscoe's lawyer presented an alibi defense on his behalf. A jury took less than 2 hours to convict Briscoe, and he was sentenced to 45 years in state prison. Briscoe was only 29 years old at the time. Now, in 2006, DNA testing on one of the cigarette butts showed the profile of a man that wasn't Briscoe. This foreign profile matched a man that was currently serving time in the Missouri prison system. And because of that, at 52, John Briscoe walked out of Charleston, Missouri prison on July 19, 2006, just days after being told that the evidence had been found and tested. All that time until the evidence was finally found. All that time. And, this is why it is so important for organizations like the Equal Justice Initiative to be around to help men and women like Johnny Briscoe in a situation like this where he was not given a fair shot. So if you guys want to be a part of this movement, please donate in the link in the description below, as well as, throw us a super chat. Those all go to the Equal Justice Initiative. But if you guys want to learn more or you want to donate directly to the website, please go to eji.org. Like I said, every little bit counts. We're right there. We're almost at our goal, and it's all thanks to you guys. So please keep donating. And that's it from me here.
Thank you so much, Chris. Now, Jackie, tell us what we not gonna do. Yes, sir.
I got the yes. Did y'all hear that? All right. So look, welcome to What We Not Gonna Do. Because if you guys follow me on social media, you know that I am a big fan of mental health, not just this Black Lives Matter movement, but I'm a big fan of mental health. So whatever you guys need to do out there to stay mentally healthy, please make sure you do that. Lou Williams just went to a funeral, like I said, and I'm totally for him going to this strip club after because it's a heavy burden sometimes. So whatever you got to do. But what we're not going to do is waste a psychologist on your 3-point shot. Let me rephrase this. Probably what we shouldn't do is waste a psychologist on your 3-point shot, because in December, 76ers coach Brett Brown said he wanted Ben Simmons to attempt at least one 3-pointer per game, and now they have asked him to agree to see a sports psychologist to help him do that. They want him to go from shooting just 2 3-pointers. Let me be clear, that's not 2 3-pointers per game. That is 2 3-pointers in the 33 games he's played since December. It's not 2 per game. But they want him to kind of see a therapist about that. I think this is annoying because we've talked about this on this show. We see him in his practice videos. The man can make the 3-point shot. He just refuses to take the shot. It's so hard to understand. But he says it's because it's not second nature to him. So he said, quote, with threes, it's never been like that. I've got to make it a point of emphasis. I could be one of those guys shooting 30% right now, but I'd rather be one of those guys shooting 40%. Boy, bye. Like, just shoot the 30%. It would so help your team in some really drastic situations. But he also said people like myself that we kind of drill him about these 3 points, that we're just tripping. He said, quote, it's a little too much. It made me back check and say, let me focus on what I'm good at. There are things that I do on the court where nobody can stop me when I'm putting up steals, assists, scoring in the paint. That's true. However, I went back and I did some research because there's a lot of games. There were 7 games that if Ben Simmons had made 3 2-pointers, the 76ers would have won. There were 4 games where if he had made 1, the 76ers would have won. So yes, they clinched the playoff spot at 39-26, but they're still tied at the number 6 spot with the Pacers. So if they had won just those 4 games, where all he had to do was sink 1 3-pointer, they would have been tied with the Celtics for the number 3 spot. So if he had sunk 2 from beyond the arc and got 6, they would have been tied with the Raptors for the number 2 spot. So that puts you in a better position. So I just don't understand why he's just so let me do this. I don't know if seeing a therapist is going to help. I don't even know if I want a psychologist who has a world full of people who really got mental problems. I don't know if I really even think that she should be talking to Ben Simmons. But Chris, do you think a psychologist can help Ben Or does Ben just need to help Ben?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I love in his tweet where he basically said, I see the way y'all was talking about Lonzo Ball, and I ain't trying to get that kind of ridicule over on my end, so I'm not going to shoot the three, and I'm going to keep it to 2 shots a season, because we tore up Lonzo Ball for shooting under 30% because he was letting those things fly, and he was airballing them all over the place, and Ben Simmons is afraid that he was going to look like that. But to answer the question about the psychiatrist, I honestly don't know. To me, I feel like the best psychiatrist he had was that extension that he got not too long ago. If there's nobody else telling you that, you know, maybe you could start expanding your game so you can start winning, is maybe getting some more money next to your name so you're looking like you earn or you deserve that money. Because a lot of people were starting to attack Ben Simmons, the player, and starting to undermine him like he's not some kind of all-star. I feel like, you know, there's so many different ways that, you know, that he could be mentally figuring out. So I feel like, to answer your question, I feel like it's Ben that's got to, you know, improve Ben in this situation. Hopefully the psychiatrist does help. I like Ben Simmons, but at the same time, it's so hard to defend him because you just got to shoot the damn basketball. That's what I'm saying. You just got to shoot the ball. And we saw that in his scrimmage game. Like, he shot that thing so effortlessly, you know what I'm saying? So I know he can shoot the ball. But it's like you said, it's, you know, something that he just has to build in his mind to, you know, be like, all right, I'm shooting the damn basketball. So we'll see. Hopefully the psychiatrist is enough to do that.
Or maybe get that fans only account. Wasn't that what we was talking about? Or his sister, his girlfriend,
somebody was saying, OnlyFans.
Maybe get that OnlyFans count, whatever. Okay. So, all right, guys, next up we got Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green, I have bad mouth a lot over time, but I'll be honest, he's starting to grow on me. I think I kind of like to see his dynamic on television. So he's doing his commentating thing right now, but he did have a hiccup because he has a misconception as to what this Black Lives Matter movement really means. So let me just tell you guys right now, because it's anywhere there are Black people who are not the governing power, you can pretty much bet that there's going to be some type of racism. That includes Canada. Canada has segregation. Canada has a Ku Klux Klan. Racial profiling happens in Montreal and Toronto. They have some of the biggest cases of racial profiling. Black people in Canada make up 3% of the population. 9% of the population is Black in Toronto, which has the largest communities of Caribbean and African immigrants. But similar to the United States, Black people in Canada live disproportionately in poverty. They are way more likely to be incarcerated than white people. So they have a lot of the same problems, which that shouldn't even be a hard place to get to when you understand what Canada is. But nonetheless, the Raptors have been leading the charge on this Black Lives Matter movement. We were pretty excited on this show when they kind of rolled up in this Black Lives Matter bus that had, you know, the huge Black Lives Matter across the top. It's not a surprise to me, given their president, Masai Ujiri. But Draymond has this slip up when he asks Masai, he says, "You guys have on your bus Black Lives Matter. And as a Canadian team, it doesn't directly impact your team because you're in an entirely different country. What made you guys take a stand to put it on your bus? I think one of 22 teams that actually went through with it. Where did the idea come from, and why did you guys feel the need to push through it?" Okay, there's a lot of ignorance in that statement, but I was really proud of Masai and his response. So if we could pull up that video, I just want to real quick to get to Masai's response, if we have it. Do we have it? Okay, I'm assuming we don't have it. So in the response, Masai just basically tells him, he's like, look, we wanted to roll through Florida for 3 hours with Black Lives Matter on the side of our bus because we wanted to make a statement. We feel that Adam Silver is doing a really great thing in making this statement. And we wanted to show that we are standing with this organization and this movement, not just as individuals, but as a team. So I thought it was a beautiful thing because he didn't just basically say, "What the hell you mean? We got racism in Canada." He didn't go that route. He just really kind of just spoke to the movement more than anything else. What's funny to me is that Jamil Hill is on this panel as well. If you don't know anything about Jamil Hill, the fact that Draymond said this lets me know that he's going to get a really good talking to once this is all said and done. Britt, I know that you follow Jamil. Like, what do you think the first thing she's going to say to Draymond regarding his slip up, thinking that racism doesn't affect Canadians?
She's gonna say, "Boy, what the hell are you talking about?" I just like can see her say it like right now. Like she's already said it. Like, and she'd be like, you know how she'd be doing that thing? Like she's definitely already doing that to him right now. Like it's crazy to even think that Draymond would lose that much common sense to even ask that question. Like you play, hello, not just the fact that you're in Toronto. How many guys on that team are Canadian? They're American citizens on that team. Like, those are Americans on the team. So of course you're going to be about the thing. I mean, there was people protesting in London and all across this country. Like, why would you be negative saying like, oh, why are you supporting us? You're not even in our country. Like that just doesn't even make sense, Draymond.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because it's a worldwide movement. We've seen this everywhere. Chris, I have one more question for you, because I've heard other people say this kind of ignorant comment. Do you think that mindset just shows how narrow-minded we are as Americans sometimes, that we think, oh, we're the only people in the world who suffer from these types of problems?
Yeah, 100%. Because I remember hearing a lot of people that were so blown away when, you know, people around the world were talking right after all the protests had began, or, you know, protests had ramped back up. And, you know, when we were seeing footage from England and footage from, you know, all these different countries, people were like blown away. They're like, oh, what? Oh, thank you. Like they think that it's for us because we're in America. But no, it's this is a bigger thing. Like there's black people everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So like everyone knows, and everyone has, you know, somebody or themselves that they are fighting for. So yes, 100%. I think that just shows, you know, how in a bottle some people may be when it comes to how big this really is.
Yeah. So what we not gonna do, Draymond, is pretend like there's only black people in America. Stop doing that, you silly man. All right. So that's all I got. So now it is time for Brit's takes.
Brit's takes.
There's an extra buh.
Yeah.
So I'll try to get through this as fast as possible, because technically I have like 3 minutes. So we talked, or you guys talked a little bit about it earlier, about the Lou Williams thing, so I don't really need to go into detail about what happened. Y'all know what happened. There was a picture that was posted and taken down, and obviously his homie was like, no, that was an old picture. They clearly had masks on in the picture, so it had to have been relatively new. But the whole question is, like, where does Lou Williams kind of reside in my heart as a Clippers fan, as far as his commitment to the team because of this situation? So I used to live in Atlanta, and if you've never been to Atlanta or you don't really understand the culture of Atlanta, this does kind of seem like, what? He went out of the bubble and then went to a strip club, and why would he go get wings at a strip club? There's fine dining. There's another strip club in Atlanta called Cheetah's that is a fine dining restaurant. It has white tablecloths. It is a 5-star restaurant. It is one of the best places to eat, and you can sit and have a nice fine dining meal. And then there's literally a line of girls on poles dancing. So this is just Atlanta. Girls, everybody goes to the strip club. Couples go to the strip club. Singles people go to the strip club. It's like the regular club, or literally the regular restaurant. Like, it's, you can have like booty right next to you when it's happening. But like, that's Atlanta. Like, that's how it is. And so it made total sense that he was going there to pick up wings. I don't think he stayed an extended amount of time, because then we would also see videos and pictures of him throwing money out to girls in Magic City. Like, you don't think we would have gotten that on camera if he was actually in a situation where he was literally sitting back throwing some ones. Like, it probably was an in and out thing. I completely believe when he said that. He did not say that he like partied in the strip club or whatever. He said he went to go pick up food there, and then he went home. Yes, Lou Will, you probably should have had somebody else go pick up the food for you. You have literally, I have friends that are friends with your baby mom, and like, I know you guys had that at the baby shower and catered it and stuff. I'm sure somebody at Magic City could have sent a driver to your house, or you could have Postmated some wings. That would have been the better option. And I don't think you not understood, but like, we're in a pandemic right now, and I think that like, normally after a situation, yeah, let me go pick up some wings or let me go whatever. But not only are we in a pandemic, but also your team is back in the bubble preparing for this upcoming season, and you decided to do something like that. So I am upset with Lou Williams in not being smart enough to have another person go get the food for him. There are other options for food delivery or whatever the case you needed. But do I think this is going to affect the team, the camaraderie, anything with the Clippers? No. The Clippers have had several of our stars. Patrick Beverley and Trez had both left the bubble as well to go attend to personal issues, and they have both since returned. They will be ready for the opening season game because they obviously weren't. Basically, it's determined by the level of like your what you did while you were gone or how many people you were, which is why Caruso decided not to go because he was going to be at a person wedding, and so that would give you the max of the 10-day quarantine time. Obviously, the minimum is 4 days, so that's the same that Trez and Patrick Beverley will have to do, and then they'll be ready to practice with their team, and they'll be ready for Thursday's game. Lou will miss the first 2 games of the regular season, or the extension of the season. But let's not forget where the Clippers sit. Clippers are fine. There's no indication that we would not make the playoffs because of this. We're going to make the playoff spot. We have a playoff spot already. We have clinched a playoff seed, so we're fine in that aspect. And several of the Clippers players, and actually Doc Rivers himself, both spoke out about the whole situation, about players leaving and stuff. And Doc Rivers had spoke out first, and this was before Lou Williams stuff came out, so this was like Thursday afternoon or whatever when Trez and Patrick Beverley were both out. And they had asked Doc Rivers, like, what does it mean that you have several players that have left the bubble and whatever the case is? And he really said that he thought that this moment would actually make it public that athletes are actually human beings and they have bigger issues to deal with than what's going on in a basketball court. And then obviously when Lou Williams' stripper thing came out, one of his other teammates, Morris, came out and said that he feels no kind of thing with this situation. Several other teammates came out and said they don't have anything with the situation because it's bigger than basketball. There's he literally was going to a viewing of somebody that was close to him that passed away. So it is bigger than basketball. As much as I would love to see my Clippers win a ring for the first time in franchise history, yes, I'm very aware that my Clippers have never gotten out of the second round, never even played in a Western Conference Finals game. And I believe that other than that year with the Donald Sterling situation happening, this has been our greatest season to ever possibly, take the reins and win something. So yes, I would love to win, but I do have to be empathetic, and I think most people should be empathetic to the fact that it's just basketball. It's just basketball games, and I think people's mental health and spiritual health and feeling like they're at a place of peace because they get closure from saying goodbye to somebody they love, or they get to be around family that is possibly sick, or most of them are the breadwinners, if not all of them are the breadwinners for their whole entire families. And they're the person that everybody looks to when something goes wrong. So they do need to be there and feel like just for their own sanity that they need to be there in those moments. So I think if you have to leave the bubble, and mind you, these are all excused absences. Each player does have to fill out something and get it excused in order for them to leave the bubble. So yes, we might have seen Lou Will at a strip club getting wings or whatever the case is, but he did not leave the bubble to go to a strip club. He did not just say, I don't want to be in the bubble right now, I'm just going to leave for a little bit. Every absence has to be excused by the league, and all of those were, and we don't need to know the reasons really for the most part why this is happening. I think we kind of feel entitled a lot. I know especially this was half of my team. I'm like, wait, where's my team going? I'm getting a little nervous. And then obviously I had to even take a step back and be like, these are people's lives, and life still continues outside of the bubble, and they had to go handle what they had to handle. And I think that's the most important thing. So Lou, I think you lost it a little bit when you did go to the strip club thing, because I think really people could have had a moment where they could have been like, oh, yeah, NBA players are human beings and we should treat them like they have lives of basketball and not like there are puppets and do whatever we want them to do to win a championship. And you kind of lost the moment right there by going to the strip club. I think you could have done other options, but either way, I think we need to be understanding that these are human beings and they have to go handle stuff and they have regular lives like everybody else. If we don't win a championship, it's not going to be because Lou Will left at the very beginning and missed the first 2 games. It's going to be for other reasons later on down the line. So that's all I have to say. I don't have any questions. I know I already went over time, but I was trying to get out as fast as I could. And that's Britt's take for today.
Thank you, Britt. All right, you guys. Well, we need to wrap up our show now, but we will be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as usual, tomorrow. Subscribe, tap the bell, leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, wash those damn hands. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, you guys. And we will see you all later. Bye, everyone.
Ooh, yeah.